Welcome back with another episode of Eagle Sports Update. I'm Derek Bennett, and alongside of me is Jonathan Knight and Khadijah Griffiths. So let's get right into it. Over the past 2 weeks, there has been some good news as far as EMU's football team. They have been continuing a good winning streak, making them bowl eligible. EMU's football team had to come back from being down 21 points to defeat Ball State Cardinals on election night just to be eligible. So that 48-41 victory was definitely something great to look forward to compared to election results, especially since our football team has not been bowl eligible since 1995. Khadijah and Jonathan, what are your thoughts on that?
First off, I got to say congratulations to the Eagles. Coach Creighton, Brogan Roback, you guys did a phenomenal job. I spoke with a couple of the guys early on in the week, and I saw them, and I got to tell you, I was so happy when I ran into them, and I told them how happy I was. It's really, really good to see the team finally bowl eligible after 95. We are bowl eligible, but we're not in a bowl just yet. The guys need to win the game tomorrow when they play Northern Illinois. It's a tough game. When you look at but we're going to take a minute. We'll get to that in a second. Let's look at Brogan's stats for a minute. He went 37 for 71 out of completions of attempts. He had 468 yards, 3 TDs. His longest of the night was 40. He had 1 sack. Brogan played very, very well, and I know we got some highlights, and we'll show those in just a minute of the game. But when you take a look at this and you look at this team, this is a team that is destiny. They've come through adversity. Here we got some highlights real quick. Here we go. And we want to thank our cameraman Tyler for going out and shooting those and going down to Ball State. But when you really look at it, you look at the team and you look how well they played, and they came together, being down. I remember I told the guys, I turned the game off because I was so upset. I mean, you're down 21 unanswered points.
I
think I told Mike Brown when I saw him at the mall the other day, I said, do the TV remote. I mean, give me some thoughts.
Yeah, and the beginning was the same for me. Like, it was horrible. It was like 0-21. I am very, very happy at where we're going and where we are at. I know last year we were 1-11, and that was like one of the worst. That was like one of the worst seasons that we had in EMU history. So to actually be 6-4 where we're at right now, we play NIU tomorrow. I know we're going to talk about that later, but I'm very, very, very excited at where we're at and where we're going.
Yeah, just touching back on what Jonathan said, I do think that Coach Creighton is doing a really good job this year. Like, he is going through his promise on making us a winning team this year.
Now, I tell you, there's got to be a difference that happened, because when you go into the locker room down 21 unanswered points and you come back and you win this game like they did, there must have been something that Coach Creighton had to have said in the locker room, or somebody stood up and said something. I mean, if it wasn't Coach Creighton, or maybe it was one of the captains in the locker room, you guys did a great job. I applaud you for that. Now you got to go out, come out of that locker room tomorrow night when you play Northern Illinois. You have to really know that you need this. This is a must. You have 2 games at home. We got Northern Illinois tomorrow. Northern Illinois is a crappy team. You should be able to come out into Rynearson, in the factory, and put in some work. That's what has to happen, and the Eagles need to get it done. And you know what? Tomorrow night, EMU is going to beat Northern Illinois 35-14. Brogan goes for a career high. That's my prediction.
I had 28-20 Eagles. NIU is 3-7 right now.
They are.
So they're horrible. Like, they're having a crappy season. So it would be a downfall if the Eagles did not go out there and take that W tomorrow. I really have faith in our team. Like, Coach Creighton, he has turned the team around. Like, all respect to that man. Like, he is amazing. He is awesome. He is doing one of the best coaching jobs that, in my opinion, the Eastern Michigan Eagles have ever had. So.
And real quick, before we take a break, and I know we're going to get to that, I want to congratulate Brogan Roback on becoming MAC West Offensive Player of the Week. He missed the first 3 games. He ended up coming back after suspension and playing backup, and he came in when they needed him. And now Brogan is doing and getting the job done. So congratulations to you, Brogan, and go out there, get the win tomorrow night against Northern Illinois, and we'll see you out there.
Okay, so once again, the Eagles are looking to win their 7th game of the season against Northern Illinois on Wednesday, November 16th at Ryerson Stadium. The game will commence at 8 p.m. All right, that concludes the first half of the Eagles Sports Update. When we return, we're going to talk more about college football.
Are you an EMU student interested in getting a first-hand experience working at a radio station? Well, say no more. EMU offers a class through Eagle Radio that will thoroughly prepare you for a real-life experience. But first, you have to register for the class. Pick a date and a time slot. Then the world is yours. Eagle Radio allows you to be fully independent and customize your own show. Have real conversations about the news, celebrity gossip, update listeners about the weather, play a trivia game. It's your show. You're free to name your show whatever you want and play any edited music of your choice. If you love having heated debates and you feel your words need to be heard, then Eagle Radio is just for you.
Welcome back. Right now we are going to dive in some more college football. And yet again, another crazy week. Just this past Saturday, the Clemson Tigers had a close loss to the Pittsburgh Panthers. The score was 43-42. It was the biggest win for the Panthers since knocking off previous number 2 ranked West Virginia in 2007. Any thoughts on that? I mean, I was actually surprised at this game because Clemson should have won, in my opinion.
Thank you.
No. No. Look,
this is debate. Clemson should have won. Pittsburgh got lucky.
You know what? You two can go sit in the corner over there because you know what? Here's the deal. You know what? Clemson's been a fraud. They've escaped 5 major games this season, people. I mean, I tell you right now, they escaped Florida State. They escaped a game against Troy in week 2. And they finally figured out that Clemson's a bunch of frauds, all right? You know what? D. Watson went 52 for 70, 580 yards, 3 TDs, and 3 interceptions on the day, all right? Those 3 interceptions is what cost you this game. You know what? When you look at Peterman, Pittsburgh's quarterback, 22 for 37, 308 yards, 5 TDs, no interceptions, that's why you won a game. You know what else won that game? It was the defense that won that game. And when you're spreading the ball around on the offense and you get it to 3 receivers, that's what won at the game. But I'll tell you right now, my boy that's in the production room, me and him trademarked this quote, and you know what? It's all about Mr. Chris Blewett, because you know what? He didn't blow it.
He blew it.
Chris Blewett made that 48-yard field goal to win the game, and we all know what we're talking about.
All right, so my thoughts for this.
We don't care.
Clemson definitely should have won.
Thank you.
They were ranked number 2 before this game, and now they moved down to number 5.
Not only that, but they had the longest winning streak in the FBS up until now.
Not taking anything away from
doesn't
Pittsburgh.
matter. Clemson is a bunch of frauds.
No, not taking anything away from Pittsburgh. Nothing at all. They played an awesome game. Like you said, Watson, he shot himself in the foot. He did have 3 interceptions, and 2 of those led for Pittsburgh's touchdowns. However, there were a lot of unnecessary penalties in this game.
There were. I will agree with you on that. There was a lot of penalties, but it was Clemson. It was Clemson that blew this game. When you really come down to it, I mean, the time of possession was. Clemson had it 10 minutes more on the game of possession when you look at it. But when it all comes down to it, Clemson is a fraud. When you know, I know we don't have the graphic to show you, but when you take a look and you go back and look at all the 5 games that they almost lost, they should have lost to. They should have lost to Auburn. They won that game 19-13. They almost lost to Troy 30-24. Okay, so there's number 2. They should have lost to Louisville. That's 42-36. They should have lost to North Carolina State, and they won that 24-17.
In overtime.
And they should have lost to Florida State, and they won that 37-34. Out of those 5 games, come on, doesn't that spell fraud?
No. The only game that I would give props is NC State. NC State. That was a great game. But this game, it was so many penalties. They were like, Pittsburgh was 4th and 1. And they called an unnecessary penalty. On a linebacker, how? Why? How? And then a couple of third down conversions. They should have been 3 and out, giving the ball back to Clemson, but no. Of course, the head ref, who was a USC graduate, not to go there, but he was a USC graduate, called all those penalties. They had a season high of 10 penalties for 101 yards.
All right, real quick before we move on to the next one. Wake Forest and then South Carolina in the next 2 weeks. Wake Forest, and we'll talk about that in a minute, almost shut out the Louisville Cardinals. Does Wake Forest somehow do that, or does Clemson come back for revenge next week?
Wake Forest is 6-4.
Bowl eligible.
They are. Wake Forest is 6-4, and then they also play South Carolina, who is 5-5. I think Clemson will go on to win both of those games.
Clemson wins out.
I had them going undefeated. Unfortunately, Pittsburgh won, but they will win against Wake Forest and South Carolina.
Pittsburgh did what, and they got the job done. They needed what needed to do. They became bowl eligible.
Pittsburgh
I mean,
got
the
lucky.
ACC is a tough conference, but let's move on.
Anyways.
We got to move on. We're gonna talk about my boys.
About this
We're gonna talk about my boys.
Next up, Michigan versus Iowa. As some of you may notice, U of M started out with a great winning streak this year. But that flawless streak came to an end when they faced the Hawkeyes this past Saturday. The game ended with a 13-14 score. Look.
Well, I'll start. Let me start with this.
You know what? Let me just go
start
hang
with
myself
this.
over here.
Go ahead. Go ahead, because I'm going to tell you, these 5-4 teams have been balling. Like, Pittsburgh was 5-4 before they beat Clemson, and Iowa was 5-4 before they beat Michigan.
Now, I honestly think that actually U of M should have won this game. I
No,
really do think.
no, actually, no.
Because it was like a questionable face mask penalty.
But hold on. I might get hung for this after this airs and might get chewed out by a lot of people. But no, Iowa won this game. Michigan choked. They looked horrible. The offense looked horrible. Where was everybody's favorite person, Mr. Peppers? But he got to get a little bit of salt to add to it because he was a little too salty after this game.
Oh.
You know what? Michigan looked horrible. Wilton Speed played horrible. 11 for 26, 103 yards, 1 interception. You know what? It sucks to say he's out for the rest of the season, supposedly. At least that's what Big Jim's talking about down the street while he's having a steak and drinking a glass of milk. But that's a different story. But you know what? When you look at this, this is his second lowest throwing completion percentage. He had 42 completion percentage, and that last time it happened was against Rutgers. But the only reason they beat Rutgers is because the defense showed up and they had mostly defensive points against Rutgers. But when you look at this game, they played horrible.
They did.
The defense played decent, but the reason they lost this game was because the offense didn't do anything. I'm sorry, but for the delusional Michigan Wolverine fans that are out there, and I'm not one of them, Michigan lost.
I could have sworn he was a U of M fan like that.
Oh, I am.
Last week.
I am.
No, your words are harsh right now.
They are harsh, but it's
Okay.
but see, here's the thing. It's the truth. When you look at this and you look at the way the team played, Michigan played horrible. The offense didn't get anything done. Peppers was salty because he didn't have enough pep in his step to get the game done. He ain't a Heisman Trophy winner. If he was a Heisman Trophy winner or a candidate and trying to win that trophy, he would have showed up this past weekend in Iowa. But you know what? Here's the thing. Michigan was in a blackout. That's what happens. They fell into a black hole, and they couldn't get anything done. That's what happens when you play in Iowa City at night. I told people all week, you do not go in there and walk in there. And you know what else why they lost? It's because they decided to decorate the locker room. But you know, that's all I got.
What?
I honestly think Iowa should have won that game. Michigan started out really good. They started out 10 for 0 going into like the second quarter, and then Iowa did have that safety going for 10-2. Jabril Peppers, I really want to just touch on him really quickly. He had no sacks, no interceptions, no forced fumbles, he had no pass defense. All he did was have 5 unassigned tackles. And I think a key for them to go forward and to win these last 2 games is he has to show up.
Yes. All right.
Okay, so a game that didn't have a surprising turnout was the USC Trojans against the Washington Huskies this past Saturday. So shout out to the Cardinal and Gold. They built up a 17-16 lead going into halftime, which ultimately paved the way to their 26-13 victory against Washington. The Trojans had a great defense during this game. I think this one definitely puts a dent in the Huskies' hopes of making it to the college football playoffs. What do y'all think?
You know what? You know what the Huskies need to do? Just go out and walk your dog, take a long stroll, because that's what it's going to be. You ain't going to the playoffs. You're done. Because guess what? Your arch rivals who are just down the street,
Washington State.
you know, Washington State, you got to still play them. And they're going to end it. It's over with. Thank God. I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to come. Everybody predicted that this was the weekend that Washington would fall. Finally, the Trojans did something. But remember, go back to the beginning of the season and you hear everybody talking about how this was the USC's year. Well, USC finally showed up. They finally got the job done. They did what they needed to do. Jake, when you look at some of the stats, Jake Browning for Washington, 17 for 36, 259, he had 1 TD and 2 interceptions. The big question is Browning still a Heisman candidate, or because of this loss, does he trickle out of that now? And does Mr. LJ Lamar Jackson pretty much have secured that win?
Jake Browning, in my opinion, he did not ever get into a rhythm in this game. He had 1 touchdown in this game. Where was Washington's defense? When I was watching this game, that's all I kept asking myself. Where was the defense? But we cannot look over USC's offense and their defense. But yeah, Jake Browning, he never got into a rhythm. And I think USC, the Trojans, their defense, they was rushing up on him, had a couple of pass rushes and everything. So Jake Browning, no, not in my opinion.
All right.
Okay, so in what has been a great year for the Broncos, who are undefeated, the Broncos just won their 10th consecutive game of the season against Kent State. Although the Broncos were off a little shaky in the beginning of the first quarter as the Golden Flashes had the lead, but then the Broncos came back second quarter and stayed strong throughout the rest of the game, leaving the end score 37-21. Now, what are you guys' thoughts about this? I think this was a fair game. Broncos won. They've been undefeated. Great defense. So
I think they came out shaky, like you had said. I think it was I flipped back and forth between this and the Eastern game, and I started getting a little upset and a little worried at the Broncos. I thought, okay, is this the kryptonite? Is this the wall that they're going to run into? Because now they have Buffalo this weekend. They got Toledo the weekend after. But I think they got over that hump that they needed to on the road. It was windy, it was rainy, it was an ugly game down there. It was a rough, nobody was there. It's an empty crowd. The Broncos are used to playing in a full Waldo Stadium like they're going to this weekend. So I really think that they are going to get over that hump. I think they're going to get into the Power 6. They're going to get that big bowl that they need. And I think everybody at Western is finally happy, and they're doing with what they need to get done. Like I said, I watched a lot of the game, but I was really getting more into the politics, I guess, that night, you could say. You know what? I can't help myself, but hey, it's a new week. Now we're focusing back on football.
Definitely. In my opinion, the Broncos, I did not see them being 10-0 right now.
No.
Eastern, I think in the 8th game that they played, that was the only team that actually gave the Broncos some competition. Mm-hmm. They won against Eastern 45-31. But the Broncos have really been showing out. They are 4-0 in the Mid-American Conference, 10-0 like I just stated, and they're on their 8th straight win.
You mean 6-0?
Oh, 6-0, I'm sorry.
That's
and
right.
they're on their 8th straight win that matches a 1941 team's record. Like we stated earlier, they do have 2 games left of the season. The first one is against Buffalo on November 19th when they're playing at home. Buffalo is 2-8. I project that the Broncos
it's going to be a
will
blowout.
win. Yeah,
When College Game Day is going there, it's a blowout game.
It's over.
They're looking at this game. They're forgetting about the mistakes that they made last week against Kent State. They're going to roll through Buffalo. They're going to ride the Broncos out, get the job done. PJ Flack's going to do it, and then they're going to turn their focus to facing the Toledo Rockets. Mm-hmm. And as long as they can stall the Rockets out at home at Waldo Stadium, they're going to be on their way to a Big Six bowl.
Yeah,
And they're going to head to the Cotton.
The only thing, in my opinion, Toledo, that is going to be a great game. Toledo is 8-2 right now. They have been playing good. I know their quarterback did get hurt, and they are coming with their backup. But Toledo is 8-2. They're doing really good, so that is going to be a good game that I look forward to.
Okay, so moving on, the Broncos once again will be playing the Buffalo Bulls this upcoming Saturday, November 19th, in hopes of keeping their winning streak to have a spot in the New Year's Six Bowl. After we take a short break, Western Michigan University Broncos remaining after we take a short break, sorry.
We're going to go to the football picks. Just say the football, yeah.
He didn't take that. Welcome back, and moving on to our final discussion, let's talk about college football playoff picks. Jonathan and Khadijah, what do y'all have?
All right, well, let's go ahead and let's reveal our number 4 picks, if we can go ahead and reveal those for the folks at home. At number 4, I took Michigan. Really?
I took Clemson.
Oh my God. Why does Clemson? Okay, I can understand putting Michigan in there. But again, it goes back to FRAUD, fraud in Clemson.
No, because Clemson, their last 2 games are against Wake Forest and South Carolina, like I previously stated.
We're looking at right now. Why does Clemson deserve to be the number 4th seed going into college?
They won this past weekend. That game was horrible. I'm not taking anything away from Pittsburgh, but the penalties and Deshaun Watson, he did shoot himself in the foot, but Clemson should have won that game.
Okay, so then answer me this. Why doesn't Michigan deserve to be number 4?
If you follow my picks when we release them, you will see where Michigan is standing in my top 4.
Okay, all right. Let's go ahead and reveal number 3.
There you go.
Okay, so then I guess I like that.
Okay, Louisville.
But I want to know why. Where's Louisville?
Okay.
Why is Michigan at 3 and not at?
Louisville is my number 2 pick, since you're just jumping ahead and everything.
Whoa, so hold on a second. Let's go ahead and reveal number 2. Mm-hmm. Where's Ohio? Why isn't Ohio State in there?
Ohio State is going to lose against Michigan.
But we're
I
talking
have to
about
disagree with that one. No.
But we're talking about right now. If you take a look at that, put that back up for me. Put those back up. All right. So when you look at that and you take a look at those, so I got Michigan at 4. She's got Clemson at 4. Louisville at 3. Michigan at 3 for Khadijah. I put Ohio State. The only reason you put Ohio State in it, too, is based off of strength of schedule. They went to Oklahoma and they beat them.
62-3, yes.
Yeah, they beat Nebraska.
Wait, that was Maryland, I'm sorry.
They didn't. You can go pull that down for a minute. They beat Nebraska. They beat Wisconsin. Ohio, based off of strength of schedule, Ohio State deserves to be at number 2. You can go ahead and reveal number. We all know who's number
Bama,
1.
of course. No, at this moment, that is my top 4 playoff picks. At this moment, I have Bama, Ohio State, Louisville, Michigan, Clemson, Wisconsin, Washington.
So your top 4 college football playoff picks was that. I had Bama at 1, Ohio State at 2, but you put Ohio State ahead based off of strength of schedule and who they beat. When you look at this and you really have to think about it, all across the board, when they reveal the picks tonight at 9:30 on ESPN and you take a look at it, that's what it's going to look like. Michigan's going to be number 4 based off of strength of schedule.
What do you mean based off of strength of schedule?
When you look at strength of schedule and you go ahead and you look at that, you're going to look at who they beat, where they beat them at, how they beat them, what was the final score. And when you really think about it, it's, okay, who did Ohio State play? Who did Michigan play? Michigan and Ohio State have all played pretty much the exact same people. If you look at their schedules, the only reason you put Louisville in ahead of Michigan is because of the strength of schedule and who they beat. They beat Florida State, and you have to really think about that. That's what the committee is looking at, and that's how it's going to be.
I agree with your picks tonight. That is going to happen. But for the playoffs picks in the future, 1 is going to be Bama, 2 is going to be Louisville, 3 and 4 is Michigan versus Clemson.
Who's your picks when they reveal it tonight at 9:30? Who do you have 1 through 4 then?
Bama, Ohio State, Louisville, and Michigan.
So
that's what I have, what you have, but I'm talking about in the long run, in the long haul.
So you're talking at the end of the time. Okay.
At the end of the time.
See, because that's the problem.
What I'm talking about.
Because that's the problem is we're talking about right now. So we're looking at it right now. Coming out tonight, we got those picks. So we probably had a little miscommunication. That's okay. It happens. You know what? We're all students here. We're getting the show and whatnot. But you know, when you think about this and you look at it, Michigan blew this game themselves. So you still have to keep them at 4, but then there's that little tiny bit of me that has to say it. And you know what? I think Michigan will be there, but part of me thinks that the committee's going to put them back at number 5. And Clemson's and the Tigers are going to crawl their way to number 4.
I think people are only looking at Michigan's good winning streak this year. That's all. So
but you have to. How do you
high
not?
Expectations for them. Look.
Oh, come on, girl. Don't.
Just like you said, just like you claimed, they choked, right?
They did choke.
The game. Okay, so how do you know they won't choke in the future? How can you base their ranking off of this year's season? Like,
got it. All right. Well, that's how we got it.
Anyways, that concludes this week's Eagle Sports Update. Once again, I'm Derica Bennett, and alongside of me was Jonathan and Khadijah. So see you next week for more updates.